Hey, wait. Okay, all right, fantastic. We are live on everywhere. Yes, fantastic. And okay, guys, we're recording and we're live on YouTube. BT, yeah, hi, BT. Should we do like the threats before we start? Okay. Yes, yes, let's do that.
Yes, it is always the right time. Hi, everybody. First of all, the first number one that I see is DDOM. So if you put a one previous to that, please let me know, and I will get the list um, populated. Otherwise, he will just go first anyhow. Welcome in. You are VIPs. That means you already know the rules. So I get to be twice as knifey with you. Don't blame me. Welcome. We are happy to have you, Susanna. Shout out, Susie. Reminders. Oh, before those reminders, school has kind of been a PETA, and even on desktop, I am having issues with audio cutting in and out. If you see a yellow box around somebody and you don't hear anything, exit out and come back in. It's not just on mobile, it's happening on desktop. We're sorry. We don't know why. It happens to me often, and then the list gets weird. So we're just doing the best we can. Reminder. Oh, yes. Reminder, keep yourself muted unless you're called up. One's in the chat for the main list, a two to respond. Don't interrupt anybody or I will cut you. That is that. Armin, good afternoon. Welcome in, Susie. Everyone else, hi. And Armin, do you have an update for us, or do you want to go straight to the list?
No, I do have an update because I want to see what your opinions are, and I know already what some people here are going to say. I already know what Jeffrey and Sketch are going to say. So let me tell you what they're going to say. No, he's lying. Don't trust him. And President Trump is playing mind games. But that's my prediction. He doesn't really mean it. But that's what you guys are going to say. But I do want to hear more details about it. But let me give you the updates. We are talking about President Trump in China. Hold on, the live chat is blocking my face. Let me bring it lower. Regular. Okay, I do want. Okay, so President Trump was after his China visit, he had an interview with John Hannity, and this is what he said regarding his meeting with President Xi. He said we talked about a lot of things. We had a very good meeting. We want things from them, meaning the Islamic Republic. One thing he agreed to today. Oh no, that's not the Iran part. Let me actually bring the Iran part, right? The Okay, so here, President Trump reveals to Sean Hannity that the Chinese President Xi Jinping has committed to withholding military equipment from Iran following their high-level discussions. That's what President Trump said. Obviously, I don't trust the CCP. Neither do anyone here, I'm assuming. So President Trump's exact words were. Let me actually listen. Do you guys want me to share his exact words? Maybe I should share his exact words. Let me. Here. Let me actually just. I don't know how to do this while sharing it with both school and YouTube at the same time. Let me try this. Share entire screen. Share audio, and I'll go do it like this. I think that will work. Add to screen. So I'll share now. I share with school so that everybody hears this. This is the most important. This is the most important part where I want to hear your opinions about. Okay, so let me play it now. Hopefully, everybody could hear it.
The issue, and you've been asked about it, and you've spoken about it, and that is China's support of Iran. How big a discussion was that today?
We discussed it. When you say support, they're not fighting a war with us or anything.
No.
He said he's not going to give military equipment. That's a big statement. He said that today. That's a big statement. He said that strongly. But at the same time, he said, they buy a lot of their oil there, and they'd like to keep doing that. He'd like to see Hormuz Strait opened. I said, well, we didn't stop it. They did it, and then we stopped them. Sort of interesting. He joked. He said, it's sort of, if they stopped it, then you stopped them. But they'd like to see it opened. But they actually closed it. He didn't like the fact that they're charging tolls. I don't know if they are or not. I don't know who would pay them. I mean, where do they put the money? The country's decimated. They're charging tolls. Where's the money going?
The issue.
So let me go back to sharing the tab instead, so that we don't have all that mess when I'm sharing school. All right, so I do want to hear your opinions about what he said. There's two other things. The President Xi mentioned to President Trump is that they also agree that Iran can never have a nuclear weapon, and they also, the Strait of Hormuz must remain fully open. So they announced that the White House also posted this as an achievement, that the Chinese are also saying that Iran should never have a nuclear weapon and that the Strait of Hormuz should be open. So U.S. President Donald Trump said Chinese President Xi Jinping would like to see a deal made with Iran and offered to help. In an interview with Fox News host Sean Hannity, he said, this President Trump's exact quotes here: "Look, anybody that buys that much oil has obviously got some kind of relationship with him," meaning the relationship between the Islamic Republic and China. And then he said, but he said, I would love to be a help if I could be any help whatsoever. So President Trump was saying that Xi Jinping was suggesting that he would love to be a help, come up with a deal between the United States and the Islamic Republic. President Trump was talking in a way that was celebrating I'm not going to show you every clip, but President Trump was talking as if he was celebrating the fact that the Chinese are willing to help come up with a deal between the Islamic Republic and United States. So I have a lot more updates, but this, I know already what some of you are going to say about this, but before we go to other updates, I'll put up one to talk about my other updates, because I want you guys to be speaking more than I am right now. So I'll let you guys respond to what we just said. Are there twos in the chat already to talk about this?
There are. First to respond is
Noah. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, they're saying like, oh yeah, we don't want to have war. Physical war, yes, I agree, but cyber warfare, I believe we're already in cyber warfare with them. And in fact, we've been in cyber warfare with China for decades. It's not said publicly, but it's well known. We're also in a tariff war and trade war, all that stuff. But physical war, no, it would be devastating for both sides. As for what the CCP said about like saying like, oh yeah, we're about what they said about Iran, I don't trust anything the CCP says. The CCP's word is their paper. The word of the CCP is as strong as toilet paper, meaning it's worthless. So yeah, but yeah, that's my thing.
All right, who's next?
next. We have Dom.
So, my opinion on China is actually they're going to go hard on Russia. It's just like Sun Tzu, not tactic, but strategy book. If you want to attack from the north, get all your power in the south, and like talk about the south, do everything about south, and then nobody will be expecting you going to the north. The second thing is that basically all the part of the so-called central Russia that is above China is actually cities that are with Chinese citizens. The cities have all the road signs, all the all the like infrastructure basically have Chinese
All right.
road signs and stuff, and like everyone who works there at some like a normal job or a factory or so are Chinese people that just
Huh.
came there and started the so-called civilian occupation. So
Okay.
basically, yeah.
No, I do. So going forward, guys, I do want to hear the opinions about the statements that I actually showed you guys and I read to you guys, because that's the main part of the discussion. That's the main, that was what I was focusing on, regarding the Iran situation, regarding the Strait of Hormuz, regarding the President Trump talking about China agreeing not to give any weapons to the Islamic Republic. Obviously, we know that the CCP cannot be trusted regarding that. How going forward, what do you guys see? What is the Chinese people? What is the CCP going to do with regards to Iran? Like on a from civilizational change in the tension between United States and China. How important this Iran situation is right now. What is the best strategy for CCP? If you were the CCP, what would you be doing against the United States to make sure you have the upper hand? What would the United States would be doing? What would you be advising President Trump if you had his ear? So let's actually try to focus a little bit more on that, because that's the main thing that everybody is trying to figure out with regards to what this is. There are many different topics when it comes to China right now. Even with this meeting that President Trump had with Xi Jinping, there is not just Iran. Obviously, it's Taiwan, it's AI, it's rare earth minerals, it's energy as a whole, not just the energy that is coming from the Strait of Hormuz. I know that we could go in so many different directions, but if we could keep it focused on for this segment, and we could talk about the other things at other segments. So those were the things that I showed. So let's go to the next person, and guys, if you could keep it focused on this, that would be great.
Next, we have Sketch.
Wanted to point out something very specific about the way that Trump spoke. He didn't say, I believe. He said, she said. She said this. She said this. She said this. At no point did Trump say, I believe him. She says he's not going to send more weapons. She says they can't have a nuclear weapon. She says, he's not saying, I believe. He's saying, this is what he told me. So I want to point out the difference between he told me and I believe, because sometimes Trump does is he says what other people say. It may be exactly what he believes. It may be the exact opposite of what he believes. But people don't understand the technicality that he uses when he speaks. People think he's crazy, but if you listen to him closely, he's very careful about about talking about the difference between what I believe. This kind of nuance in the way he talks is something people should notice, because a lot of people that call him crazy don't go into the semantic differences and the linguistic dexterity that he sometimes displays, even when he's kidding. So that's if you go back and look at it later, not right now, notice the way he speaks. She said, he said this, he said that. He's not saying I believe. I just wanted to point that out.
Okay, before we go to the next person, we got a super chat by Roman Cabbage saying, deal is China could place trackers on weapons, and saying also hi BT. Oh, you're getting a hi from the YouTube side. And thank you for the super chat. I don't know what you mean by China could place trackers on weapons. Yeah, I mean, I do know that many of the weapon systems that China creates, many people say cannot be trusted, because every technology that comes from China, people have to assume that it comes with some sort of a tracking, and even if you buy phones from them, just understand that your entire privacy is gone, and the CCP knows your entire business and everything about your life right now, and they use that for sure. So I'm assuming it's the same thing with their weapons as well. And thank you for the super chats. Okay, so who's next?
Next to respond, we have Jose.
Hello, guys. Armin, I just want to remind you what I told the chat when we were talking about China earlier in the week, that Xi might be trying to find a way to save face, because that's very important in the Chinese culture. Z said this, Z said that. A lot of stuff sounded like he was caving to our side. He might be playing Trump. Trump might not be believing him, but it is an attempt to save face. First of all, he has to get his economy rolling again, so he needs that oil rolling again. Okay. Second of all, I doubt they were the only two people in the room. I bet you there were some other high-powered people in the room. Okay. So, yes, I don't believe him, but I'll tell you the truth. I believe a Chinese communist before I believe any Islamist. Okay. And I'm Cuban and saying that. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know. Actually, I don't know between communist and Muslim leaders or Islamic activists. I don't know which one is worse. I think like sometimes I feel like communism is worse than Islam, and I've been fighting Islam like half of my life, more than half of my life. So that's saying a lot coming from somebody who's so much anti-Islam. I think communism is worse than it. By the way, guys, in the chat, in the YouTube chat, in the chat, I know this is not the topic of our discussion, so just put it in the chat. I think communism is worse than Islam, and I hate Islam. So let me know if you agree with me on that. And BT gave us a super chat saying that's what G said. Love that. Thank you, BT. Okay. All right. That's good. That's good. All right. Who's next?
I had to. Okay,
Yes.
next we have Jeffrey.
As always, pretty good points. What I drew from the commentary that was shared, like three buckets. So, I mean, as far as the Mueller regime can never have nuclear weapons, it very much sounds like diplomatic language or straight up deception. I mean, it's true that President Trump and Xi publicly agreed the Mueller regime or the regime remnants can never have nuclear weapons, matching kind of like weak Chinese Communist Party like official standing or opposition to the weaponization while accepting Tehran's claims of a nuclear, like a peaceful program. The problem with that is it very much smells like hedging, because the Chinese Communist Party has a documented history of nuclear missile proliferation through proxies. In the case of, say, helping Pakistan, whose AQ-Khan network funneled enrichment tech centrifuges and bomb designs to the Mullah regime in the 80s and 90s, plus limited direct assistance in the past. I mean, even right now, the Chinese Communist Party keeps plausible deniability via third parties, North Korea ties, oil revenue that indirectly funds Iran. As far as like the strait needs to remain open, it's probably almost a surely response to President Trump's pressure and blockade. I mean, like, so he's like, the Strait of Hormuz must stay open and not be militarized. Well, yeah, of course, because like it's in direct response to us shutting down, like doing a double blockade. The Chinese Communist Party is the world's largest oil importer. It needs the strait flowing freely to avoid billions in losses, particularly when it comes to teapot industries that use the heavy crude that disproportionately the Mullah regime, feeds to the Chinese Communist Party. While it's clear that President Trump is kind of pressing Beijing to use its leverage over the Mullah regime remnants, this stance also perfectly aligns with the Chinese Communist Party attempting to leverage that and advantages regarding protecting its own economy and BRIC stakes. So what do I think? Where does it kind of like shake out? It's very much, my read is that Xi is actively treating the Mullah regime remnants as a flexible bargaining chip to try and gain advantage in his dealings with President Trump over key issues. And he thinks by controlling, well, he doesn't control the flow of oil purchases. I mean, as far as dual purpose tech and diplomatic cover, he can like dial up the regime remnants cooperation up or down as like in other words, he's trying to use it as a temporary version of what the Chi-Coms have used North Korea as. Either way, even if Xi actually agreed that the Mullah regime should not have nuclear weapons, the current operational environment is so positively selects for proliferation independent of the Chinese Communist Party that when it's married with the Mullah regime's remnants in inelasticity regarding pursuit of that capability, it still translates into the fact the Mullah regime has to die. That's just off the top of my head. Sorry, guys.
Yep. Okay. Okay. So I'm next, right? BT. And also, do we have ones in the chat, or do we have no ones in the chat so far? Because okay, yes, we do. Fantastic. Okay. So here's the way I look at this. So we have 3 statements regarding Iran that everybody's talking about coming from Xi Jinping. One is he said that he's not going to give any weapons to the Islamic Republic. I don't believe that for a second. Then there's 2 other statements. They're saying that they don't want the Islamic Republic to have nuclear weapons, and they want the Strait of Hormuz to be open. I do believe those 2, but it's irrelevant because they don't have a say anyways, right? So I do believe that the CCP doesn't want the Islamic Republic to be nuclear because the CCP likes the Islamic Republic to be a tool. Like they like the Islamic Republic to it's a leverage for them. They don't see the Islamic Republic as an ally. They see the Islamic Republic as a weak state that they could throw around like a bitch. It's their bitch, basically, right? The Islamic Republic likes to look at the CCP as an ally, but the CCP looks at the Islamic Republic as their little bitch that they use against the West and the United States and the West as a whole. And they do not like the Islamic Republic to become too powerful for them to be to basically make decisions on themselves. They would like to have them on a leash. If the Islamic Republic becomes nuclear, they wouldn't need the CCP as much as they need right now. And that's not something at all that the CCP wants, right? Also, the CCP does want, yeah, exactly, a tool sketch. Also, the CCP does want the Strait of Hormuz to open. They're frustrated with the Islamic Republic right now, not because that's where they get their oil from, like at least more than 10% of it, right? So it's not like them wanting the Strait of Hormuz open doesn't mean that they are on America's side and against the Islamic Republic. They're definitely more on the Islamic Republic side, versus the Americans for sure. But they don't like they find it annoying that the Strait of Hormuz is closed like this because not actually way more than 10% because we're not even talking about just the oil from Iran. We're talking about the oil from Saudi Arabia, the gas from Qatar, Iraq, Kuwait. All of that is closed. And China does not at all like this situation. This is putting a lot of pressure on them. But on the 2 points that I believe them, on the point that they're saying they're not going to give weapons to the Islamic Republic, wouldn't believe them for a second. On the 2 points that I believe them, I don't believe them because I trust them. I believe them because I understand their incentives, and it doesn't even matter that they're because it's not up to the CCP for the Islamic Republic to be nuclear. Like the Islamic Republic could want the the CCP could want that the Islamic Republic not become nuclear as much as they want. Who gives a shit? Like the Islamic Republic, if you don't topple the Islamic Republic is going to get nuclear weapons, whether the CCP wants that or not. So them wishing that is irrelevant. And them wanting the Strait of Hormuz to be open is irrelevant as well because they're not going to put enough pressure on the Islamic Republic to open the Strait of Hormuz. The closing of the Strait of Hormuz is the only leverage that the Islamic Republic has right now. So they're going to close it regardless of how much that pisses off the Chinese. And the only countries could actually open the Strait of Hormuz are United States and Israel. So the Chinese being annoyed with that is irrelevant as well. They're not going to do anything about it. So they're only, so who cares? Who cares that they are the part that they're lying from the 3 statements, giving weapons to the Islamic Republic, not wanting Iran to have nuclear weapons, wanting the Strait of Hormuz to be open. The only 2 parts that we could believe them are the two parts that they're irrelevant. The part that they're lying about is the part that they're actually very relevant, and they're going to make the Islamic Republic, along with the Russians. The Russians are basically giving drone components to the Islamic Republic through the Caspian Sea, and the Chinese are giving the missile components to the Islamic Republic through land routes. And on that front, they're being very, very destructive. And I think the Americans should be a lot more aggressive against the CCP for this. I think they should be called out. And I think we should be seeing trucks being blown up. I think we should see Americans blowing up trucks, any trucks. I think we need a lot more intelligence operations regarding which trucks are carrying out these missile components and just blowing them up. Yeah, I think we need more aggression against the CCP on this, because this is like with just a little bit of investment from the Chinese in supporting this the Islamic Republic with missiles, the cost to the Americans is so much more than the small amount of money that the CCP has to, just with a little bit of missile components. It could increase the cost to the Americans when it comes to defense, and the lives of American soldiers is a lot higher. And I think that we need a lot more aggression towards the CCP, given that they are supporting the main enemy of the United States right now. That needs a stronger responding to, in my opinion. All right. So who do we have next? And
Yeah, up next we have Didom, and his topic is if world production depots spread. Oh, before that, we have Sketch to respond to the topic at hand.
I agree with you on these strikes, but I would wait till after the meeting, because one of the things that we took like, how many C-130s did we take over there in equipment? It was so much equipment. We took so much equipment over there. We took limousines. We took so much equipment over there. So I would imagine that these people in the CCP, they can't touch our equipment. And I would imagine that we are spying on everything that they're doing right now. And we might be looking at what signals are coming out of China, specifically Beijing, and where it's going. I would imagine having the president there is having a whole spy network land on your country. So I wouldn't doubt that they're going to smile a lot and shake a lot of hands. And when they leave, everything they learn, any assets that they had going in, the CIA just had a large campaign of people that they were trying to get to defect, right? And that they were trying to signal to and get signals from. And this has been going on for the past, I believe it's 3 months. They're ramping up. The CIA is ramping up on defectors, especially in light of all these, purges. I mean, they're all dirty. It's the same thing in any communist nation. They're all dirty. They're all got their fingers in the pot. When you get purged, it's not because you were dirty, it's because you weren't loyal enough, or you're a danger, or you're getting too popular. So what I would imagine is that a lot of people that are scared would send signals, would receive signals. I believe this is a giant intel operation, right? It's not the only purpose or the main purpose, but I believe that's part of it. And I would imagine that they're going to find out a lot, but they're not going to start striking trucks right now. They're going to wait till he leaves. But I believe you're absolutely right about dual-use materials flowing in, about Caspian Sea stuff flowing in, and about the rocket fuel, rocket parts, all that stuff. I believe you're completely right on being incensed, enraged, that more isn't being done. I believe they have to get through this thing and then move on it.
I maybe I'm wrong about this, but I am actually I think that American policy is not aggressive against the CCP enough. Okay, that's what I think. And I know a lot of people say, like, no, you don't understand. They're doing this. They're doing this. This is mind games. They're gonna do this. They're gonna do that. Something will happen. And I don't know. This is 5D chess, 4D chess, 12D chess.
And
I don't. Yeah.
I can't agree more. I cannot agree more. To be more in line with you, I would have to jump in your skin. I hate how soft we are on them, and I believe you're completely right about that.
Okay. Okay. Well, I appreciate that. Okay. that, was, that was a very visual description of how much you're on my side. I appreciate that. Oh, I see we have two. We have more twos in the chat.
We do. No, I don't think anyone has agreed with me ever that much in my life. And I've had a human in my, and he does not agree with me hardly ever. So next to respond, we have Rebecca.
All doing. It's a very interesting discussion. Hey, what's up? Just for you to understand the complexity of it, I want to add in some factors. Because first of all, you need to also include the fact that the China is making some of its decisions, and in general, a lot of our adversaries do make some certain decisions, assuming that they will be the losing side. Meaning, they assume that if the United States wants something, they would get it, and therefore they can take out some of the power that the Americans have by making them use more equipment, and at the same time not really actually risking that Iran would have nuclear weapons. So you need to understand, like, for them it's like, okay, we give them their basic assumption is America will win. So it's very important that we understand that our adversaries don't necessarily think that they're going to be the winner side, and actually everything that they are doing assumes that it is the other side that would win. The other thing that I want to add when it comes to China, especially historically speaking, right? The US and the world depends on China. China does manufacture some stuff that nowhere else is done. And China has a history of collapsing in a brutal way that kills hundreds of millions when they have chaos. One of the reasons why they have such a tendency to have an hierarchical system that is just as brutal as is, it takes a population. You need to understand, like, in the end of the day, a lot of those governments, a lot of those systems reflect a certain geographical reality or a population. Now, if you have oil or some things that allow you to bypass the structure of the population, then you have some cheat codes. But a lot of times, Russia, China, those are the structure of the country kind of reflects the way people think. And the reason people think this way when it comes to Russia, right? They have paranoid style in thinking ingrained in them because of their geography, and China has a collapse paranoia thinking ingrained in their thinking because of their geography again. And because of that, right? So from the American side, you need to understand, you say, oh, we need to be stronger China. You are also assuming that China might be stronger than what it really is, especially since China has such a clear history that when it collapses, it happens really fast and hundreds of millions die. And then we have some things that only China is doing. I just want to say that things are a bit more complex. And you can still count on the Chinese that they understand, and they're having their own mentality, the assumption that you're going to win. So it's a bit more complicated. Another thing is that is something that America and China kind of share. They both want to feel independent when they cannot be. So America, with its isolationist mindset, whether you can see it a lot in politics, they want to feel that they are not dependent on other countries. China has the same mindset. And therefore, they try to, in every way, shape, or form, to take away whatever dependency they have on the US. And America is doing the same, right? And in general, like, the Americans have a very similar mindset. It's a mindset of a huge island mindset, I would say, like both America, like China and US, which are empires about the same size, like really are, like there are some similarities in that mindset, but both powers sitting together are kind of understanding that maybe it's not going to happen because China always was a bottleneck when it comes to resources globally, always. And the United States is the United States. So it will always win. So it's a game. It's a game, and Iran is definitely like a very strong card in that power struggle. But I also understand like that there isn't a real want for the other side to actually like fall, because it's both have too much to lose, and like the Chinese I've known, right, have more self-preservation instinct than the Russians do. On like that's my thoughts. Now it's not my expertise. I'm not gonna say it is, but just in general, something to
Very
consider.
interesting. Very, very interesting. Thank you for that, Rebecca. That's very interesting.
Of course.
Up next, we have Kat.
Kat Miowski?
I was like daydreaming.
Oh.
Yeah. Sorry. I wasn't paying attention. Was that cat? Okay. I don't remember exactly the specific date, but I know that the U.S. has been too trusting of China before. We did this mistake. I am saying we as if I'm an American, but you guys did this before, and maybe someone can tell me exactly when it was, but it happened before, and it led to rise of actually the Communist Party in some sense. So, yeah, I totally agree.
Okay. Is it my turn? Because the stuff that you said just gave me is something that I wanted to share with you guys, right? I think it's my turn.
It is. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, it's my turn. All right. So, guys, you know what Rebecca said and what the rest of you guys said just made me want to mention this. This is something that I repeat, and I wanted to make sure this is recorded here as well with you guys. The United States will win the Cold War because of the inherent nature of how the U.S. politics and economy works compared to Russia and China, right? The decentralization, the entrepreneurial spirit, and the limited government, and the amount of competition in the private sector. That means that no matter what the Chinese do, and no matter what the Russians do, at one way or another, America will come on top, and the CCP is going to lose, and Putin is going to lose. I'm not saying this is going to be easy. I'm not saying that we shouldn't be fighting. I mean, they could do a lot of damage, and we need to reduce the damage. But one way or another, the right side is going to win this, right? When it comes to, like, for example, even in military, when it comes to weapon manufacturing and the military industry in the United States, the reliance on private sectors and the competitions between them, the fact that you don't have a top-down command economy where there are certain elites that are making decisions and everything in America is done through competition between different sections. You have a level of decentralization in the markets. You have a level of decentralization in politics as well. You have separations of power. Whatever the Chinese decide to do will not be able to compete with the wisdom of the crowds that you have in the United States. Because in the United States, decisions are not being made by one person. It's been made by so many different people with so many different plans and ideas and methods competing against each other. And it is that Darwinian model that produces the best strategies. There is no way that no elite anywhere, forget about the Chinese or Russians, there's no elite anywhere could compete with that model as long as you have a centralized command economy and a centralized command structure where there's certain people who think that they're wise enough to defeat the wisdom of the crowd. That has never happened, and it will not happen here again, right? And again, I see Samantha crying over this in the chat, but this is empirically that we have seen empirically. This has always been the case. Whenever you give people liberty, like you do in the United States, those are societies who prosper because with liberty you have competition. With competition you have a Darwinian model. With the Darwinian model, you have an emergent property of the wisdom of the crowd that produces the best results. That's the secret behind why United States has been successful. And until China becomes free, and until Russia becomes free, and you have actually true classical liberal values in those countries, these people will never be able to even get close to producing the results that United States has. And I don't see these people letting go of their grip over society, because because the CCP is not interested in China flourishing. The CCP is interested in CCP flourishing. Okay, Putin is not interested in Russia's growth. Putin is interested in his own power. And to give up power for the sake of liberty of your people so that they could flourish means that you have to choose your people before you choose yourself, and neither the CCP or Putin will ever do that. This is why United States will always win this race, right? So with that in mind, we have to understand that we're entering into a new era. The world order is going to change. Before the phase that we were in the phase of the Cold War. We had the Soviet Union on one side, and we had United States on the other side. And now, after the fall of the Soviet Union, in this transition period that we were already in, we had United States policing the world very effectively, and the main problems coming from Islamic countries for a while. But now we're going to a previous model that we had, like when the United States on one side and the Soviet Union on one side. We're going back to that, but this time we're going to have the CCP replacing the Soviet Union. We're going to enter that world. So we're going to be entering this Cold War kind of situation that we have with the Soviet Union, and we need to win this race. And exactly at the same time, so this is a new big chapter in history, and we are basically at the beginning phases of it. And while this is happening politically, we are also at the same time entering, like we're already in the beginning stages of the fourth industrial revolution of AI and robotics. So this Cold War is going to be won by whoever wins the industrial revolution, whoever has the upper hand with AI and robotics. And both sides completely know this. And this is why this Cold War that we're in, AI and robotics are always at the center of the discussions, because the competition between United States and China is about that, because both sides know whoever wins the AI race wins every single other race, right? And so when it comes to the AI race, we're talking chips, because we're talking chips, we're talking rare earth minerals, we're talking knowledge, and more important than anything, we're talking energy. It doesn't matter if you have the best models, if you don't have enough data centers to process it, and if you don't have enough energy to run those data centers, your models are not going to produce better results than the one that does have that. So the competition between China and United States, other than it being a military competition, is even more than that, is an economic competition for winning the AI race. And that means this is a winner-take-all situation. This is unlike most things in trade. This is a zero-sum game. In the modern global economy, most things are win-win, but in this case, it's actually win-lose. It's a zero-sum game, and whoever wins, the other side loses. And that's why we need to go for absolute domination with controlling as much rare earth minerals as we can. This is why Greenland is so important, and this is why United States, our team, needs to go with absolute domination when it comes to having as many countries with more energy on our side, with more access to energy on our side. This is why Venezuela was such an important country to get on the US side, and this is why Iran is such an important country to get on the US side before we go deeper into this war with China. This is why Iran is such a key player. Iran is important not just because of energy, not because of its own oil and gas, but also because geographically it sits at a place where you could have more dominance over other countries' oil and gas as well. Like, it's not Iran is there, but Iran is right next to Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait, UAE. So having control over the Strait of Hormuz is very important. It's very important for Iran to be a U.S. ally country before this battle picks up. Other than that, Iran itself has a lot of rare earth minerals. Other than that, Iran is a country that connects, it sits right where three continents are get connected, like Europe, Asia, and Africa are connected in the Middle East, and that's why Middle East will always remain important. This is why Israel is very important, because Israel, without Israel, United States wouldn't be able to do most of the things that it's doing in the Middle East. This is why, actually Israel proves how important Iran is. Even without the oil and gas, I mean, Israel doesn't have that much oil and gas, and you can see how beneficial Israel has been as an ally to United States. So imagine if Iran was a similar ally to United States, like Israel is right now. That would basically, if Iran has a government that is an ally of the United States, the gap between China and US would widen beyond imagination. I mean, the gap is already big, but with that, it would be much bigger. So this is why it's really important. So with liberating Iran is not just about Iran. Liberating Iran is about the right side winning and having dominance over energy, rare earth minerals, and the geographically strategic areas where we could basically hold back not just the CCP and Putin, but all their proxies like the Islamic Republic, right? The good thing about Iran is that you don't actually have to install a pro-America regime there. You could, because the Iranian people are so pro-American and also now more pro-Israeli than ever before as well, that all you need to do is topple the regime. It's not like an Iraq situation where you actually have to force it somehow, manufacture a pro-American regime there. If you just liberate Iran, it will automatically become pro-American because the Iranian people are pro-American. And this is why it's very important to liberate Iran soon before we move to the next phase of this Cold War. So just wanted to add that, and yeah, I'm done.
Okay, next to respond, we have Jeffrey.
All good points. Very good points, Armin. Very proud of you. So I'm going to touch on some of the statements. No, you nailed a lot of really important stuff. So with Rebecca, she's not wrong. She's right in regarding the fact that actors, particularly the Chinese Communist Party, Putin's criminalized counterintelligence state, their rogue regime proxies, sub-state proxies, or even their historical progenitors very much engaged in something called bait and bleed or bloodletting, which means if you see your adversary is engaged in a third-party conflict, then you help your adversary's adversary and use that conflict to bleed them out. As far as for policies like policies that seek to de-link, economic interdependence, that's now in reverse. And that is due to policies that are meant to de-link in pursuit of autarky. That's both the Chinese Communist Party and now us in response. And that's because everybody knows almost assuredly a high-intensity systemic war is coming, and dependency equates to vulnerability. As far as Armin's statements, he made some very good points with regards to the relative advantages and or disadvantages between autocracies and representative republics when it comes to short and long-term competition. So autocratic systems, they have advantages in short-term competition because they have tightened decision cycles, OODA loops, kill chains, and they're very much more efficient in the short term at translating Latin to hard power. They don't have to debate, and they say you're going to do X and there is no but. Representative republics have advantages in long-term competition, particularly when it comes to things like infinite games due to, a lot of the things Armin talked about, as well as and it kind of gets borne out in the intertemporal utility fund within Ramsey's model of endogenous growth. So when you look at historical competition, I'm going somewhere with this, between autocratic systems and representative republics, particularly, say, the United States, via our geographic advantages that we're surrounded by fish on the left and right and weak and or aligned countries in the north or south. It very much played out that way, and you saw that in the Second World War. Now, that being said, the operational impact of revolutionary technologies have changed the nature of finite and infinite games and or the advantages of autocracies and or representative republics and how they play out. You have increases in lethality, weapon lethality, and the means to deliver them means that in that competition between autocracies and representative republics, it's not so clear cut. I'm going to go to why this makes AI, what Armin said regarding AI, robotics, rare earths, and most importantly, countries like Iran, and they have to be liberated, so important. That kind of operational impact was already observed in Eisenhower's farewell address, which many people miscite as the anti-military industrial complex. In former Republican President General Eisenhower's farewell address, he talked about, in no uncertain detail, because of the advent of ballistic missiles and nuclear weapons, the United States could no longer, rely on a reactive defensive industry. They had to create a defensive industry. Similarly, Jean Kirkpatrick said in regards to the competition between the Soviet Union and the United States in the Soviet-initiated Cold War, she defined it this way: the Soviets are playing chess while we're playing poker, or no, Monopoly. The question is, can they checkmate us before we bankrupt them? So where does that all leave us with what Armin said? He's not wrong in the sense that AI and robotics, particularly artificial intelligence, will be a zero-sum game, and he who dominates AI will dominate the world going forward. We also have to get it right the first time or we're all fucked. And that's going to require rare earths and energy-producing countries, which goes right back to Iran. This is why, in no insignificant manner, above and beyond the environment that positively selects for proliferation and or the pseudo-theologic motives that underwrite the Mullah regime and or its remnants motives, right? They're the inelastic. When those kids are protesting and the kids that are engaged in liberating Iran from the Mullah regime that's illegally occupied it since '79 and denying the energy to, say, the Chinese Communist Party and or providing it to Blue Force, like the United States-led Western Alliance, they're not just fighting to liberate Iran in their own way, in their own peace, they're also fighting to save the world. Sorry, I was so long.
No, that was great. Before we go to the next person, I just got a super chat by Dominic Spencer saying, "Love your work, Armin. I listen every day." Well, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. All right, who's next?
Okay, final response here is Sketch.
I wanted to translate some of the things that were talked about into Walmart American, just keeping it very simple. They have a top-down system where they have to force everything that they're doing, right? What does that do? Well, they may think, we're gonna lower their missile battery. We're gonna lower how many missiles they have. What does that lead to? Because we have innovations, we have directed energy and pulse energy weapons that are being developed. Why do we have that ready so fast? Because we have the kind of market where these ideas were already being developed. And as soon as the opportunity rises, these companies are ready to go, and they're competing with each other for the best system, right? That's another thing. This we also saw play out in Ukraine, right? What happened? Because they have a more open market. I'm not sure that I understand exactly how Ukraine's market works, but I imagine that it's more open than, especially during a war where they have no options. I imagine it's more open to any idea than what Russia had going. So they were able to adapt, right? Right now, we're watching that the market adapts and find different ways to route that oil. Like right now, even with inflation, oil has not gone up as much as it should. What does this all mean? Well, people are like sand, right? And the reason America can rise and China has a lot of problems is because people are like sand. You can hold them in the palm of your hand. But if you squeeze them in your fist, they're gonna go through your fingers. You ever take some dry sand, put it in your hand? You ever try to squeeze that into a fist? It's just gonna go between your fingers. And just like sand, people fall between the fingers of their fist. They're losing intelligent people. Intelligent people don't want to give them their ideas because they know it's going to end in nothing. They're just going to get sucked into a corrupt system that might take their idea and end up killing them, right? These people who try to leave just to get out of there. And there's these closed system, these top-down system, because they close their fist on the market and tell the market, no, you're going to develop this type of missile and you're going to have this defense. They're not holding all those companies in the palm of their hand openly so that they can compete and they can rise on their own. So that's like the Walmart American take. You can't hold the people in a fist. You got to have them in the palm of your hand openly so that they rise and fall as they should. Closing your fist over the people, those people are going to, they're going to escape. They're going to fall through your fingers and you're going to lose. The tighter you squeeze, the more you lose.
Exactly. All right, let's go to the. Before we go to the next topic, I just want to say somebody from Iran just posted in our chat. Just want to translate that for you guys. So somebody said ما به سختی وصلیم تا هستیم میگم صدای ایران باشید هموطنان انرژی میدین به ما ممنون هنوز کنار ایران هستید. So he's saying we get connected to the internet very, very hard. Whenever we get connected to the internet, we want to say, please be the voice of Iran. And it says, my dear compatriot, like our compatriots give us energy when they're with us. Thank you so much that you're still on our side. We hope that you could. So he's telling Iranian people outside of Iran that when the Iranians outside of Iran speak for the Iranians outside of Iran, when they speak for the Iranians inside Iran and they're their voice, they get energy from that. And he's thanking the Iranians outside of Iran when they do that. And he says, امیدوارم زود برگردید. So he's saying, I hope you guys could return soon to Iran. ایران جشن آزادی ما هنوز زنده ایم. It's like, we hope that you could come back to Iran for our freedom celebration when Iran is free, and then we are still alive. Javid Shah. ما هنوز زنده ایم. We are still alive. Javid Shah. So that was a message from inside Iran that I just saw on our YouTube chat, and I just wanted to read that for you guys. Okay.
On to the main list, we have Didom, and he would like to talk about moving manufacturing outside of China.
Oh, let me bring this. Hold on, give me a sec. Okay, I'm gonna change this to banner, then hide, and then sorry, save. All right, go ahead.
Well, so taking the manufacturing powers of China, I understand it's a hard work, it's a long-term thinking, it's a super long-term thinking. I think it will be possible like in the next 20 to 50 years, maybe shorter, I hope shorter, but in 20 to 50 years it's a possibility. But once America and big strong economics could help to that to happen and move manufacturing powers to countries like Brazil, Poland, maybe some North and Western Africa countries, and distribute it all over the world. Yeah, maybe there will be a more complicated logistics at some point, but it will take every leverage out of China, and China will become just a supplier of like the rare earth materials, rare earth minerals, and become kind of what Russia was in the 17th century to 19th century. So that's how I see that America can win China without even like go into a direct war with China.
Okay, let me actually see some information on that. So the world is here as of May 14 May 14 2026, the world is watching a high stakes summit in Beijing. So we already know that So let's look at the goal is to repair damage of the 2025 tariff wars, which saw trade volumes plummet to historic lows. So you're saying that if we could get more, I'm trying to look information to see if we are basically moving in that direction, because I know, for example, about Vietnam, Philippines, Mexico. These are the great places for us to divert a lot of imports from, so that China doesn't have so much leverage. So here's something that people don't understand, is that they think because I am completely for free markets, I don't understand the security strategic advantages to sometimes go off that model, for you not to becoming completely relied on one country for certain strategic things that your country needs. I completely understand that. I just think some people overdo it and they turn into isolationists. But I just think that, but I do believe that diversity is always your friend. And if you're too reliant on one countries, it does make sense to come and make some adjustments on a state level to make sure that you're not, that one country doesn't have so much leverage over you, especially the parts of an industry where your security, your military depends on, right? So let me actually, that's the reason why I'm looking at this, to see if we can see any signs where the West is actually moving in that direction for reducing their reliance on China, because I know they are. I just want to see better information on this, right? So let me go away from what's happening in China, the meeting. So here, a major 2026 industrial report shows a massive shift in how Western companies view their footprints. So we have a strategic shift. 73% of large European and US organizations now have active reindustrialization strategies, up significantly from 59 just 2 years ago. So that means that the reshoring acceleration. In the US, 48% of companies are actively moving production back home. This is called reshoring, compared to 30% in 2025. And then we have reshoring and we have friend shoring. Okay, so friend shoring is that in Europe, 64% of organizations are prioritizing friend shoring, which means relocating supply chains to politically aligned allies to avoid geopolitical extortion. So actually, a lot of people think that that violates free market principles, because you have but it doesn't. These are basically companies realizing that even if manufacturing bases in China or some other hostile countries, if they could provide you the same goods with cheaper prices, the problem is that the fact that these are not democracies makes them more risky, because it means it actually promotes free market principles, because it punishes states that are very involved in their economy. Because states like Russia and China that are very involved in their economy, companies in freer countries have to realize that, okay, this is not just about making money, this is political, and this does not fit my models. This means that, like, if I could do on my valuation spreadsheet, I could measure everything based on economic principles and finance. But all of a sudden, the CCP might come and say, "No, fuck you. We're gonna cut this because I want to punish the United States." Right? So you need to take the geopolitical extortion risk into account, and that usually happens in countries where the state treats its economy like a weapon, and that's usually in less democratic countries that the state is capable of doing that. So more private companies have to take that risk into account, and this is why reshoring and friendshoring is not a violation of free trade, because people think that free trade just means more global trade just because we want more global trade. No, global trade should always be an option for companies to, we want to remove the barriers to global trade. But when these private companies notice that it's risky to do business with companies in China or Russia, then they could on themselves realize that, yeah, this is actually not worth the risk, and we need to either bring this back home or take it to countries that are less risky. For example, choose Vietnam over China, right? So then we have the AI catalyst, killing the cheap labor advantage. So this is something that a lot of people need to, like China and other countries that people were offshoring to with AI and robotics, they're going to lose that advantage. So the primary reason made in China dominated was the cost of manual labor. That advantage is evaporating due to agentic AI and advanced robotics. So we have cost distribution. New AI native manufacturing platforms are reporting up to 97% reduction in manpower and capital costs for specific sectors like media and microelectronics. And then we have local high fidelity. AI allows local creators and manufacturers to produce high quality goods at 3% of legacy costs, making local cheaper than shipped from overseas. And then we have valuation period. And so this is what isolationists. This is actually the isolationist main fear, because isolationists will always want to say like, oh my God, China is stealing our job, but now their jobs are coming up back on to your shores, but you're not going to see people actually, those jobs are not going to go, those jobs are now being taken away by AI and robots rather than the Chinese, right? So just because it comes back home, it doesn't mean that those jobs that were taken away are now going to be given to the people who have who lost their jobs. I think on a net basis, we're going to see more employment, not because these jobs are coming back, but because usually industrial revolutions create new kinds of jobs, right? So we have valuation premium. Companies utilizing AI native manufacturing are currently commanding 40 to 50% higher valuations on the stock market. So yeah, we already seen that in the stock market. And we have the death of the just-in-time logistics. Global shipping is no longer stable or cheap. We have logistics inflation due to choke points in the Red Sea and the Strait of Hormuz. Shipping costs on key routes have spiked over 20% this year. So we have regionalization. Companies are moving towards a global model. So that's a new word. Model, manufacturing goods as close to the end consumer as possible to avoid $3,000 plus $3,000+ per container surcharges. So global means that it's local and global. So it is outside your country, but it's close to home, just to avoid these choke points and the costs associated with that. And then we have, but we also have China's counter move in response to all of this. We have new productive forces. China isn't standing still. They are pivoting away from shoes and toys to dominate the green and high-tech sectors. I don't think this is going to work out for China the way people think, because this reminds me of what the Soviet Union was trying to do with, just like, how we could solve everything, tech, science, right? But the problem with the tech and science that came from the Soviet Union was, again, it was from the top down, ordered by the state rather than organic from the bottom up. And right now, a lot of people are impressed by China's, electric vehicles and solar panels and new AI models and robotics. But I think you're going to see them fall behind, just like the Soviet Union. People were used to be impressed by the Soviet Union. I mean, they made it to space before the Americans. The Americans made it first to the moon, but there was the Soviet Union that made it first to space. People thought they were equal. Now that we're looking back, they were never equal. We just had this illusion of them being both superpowers. United States was so far ahead of the Soviet Union even during the Cold War, and I think we have this illusion of some sort of inequality between China and United States as well right now, just because China, with their central command structure, they could produce things fast, but fast doesn't usually mean good. A lot of these are not based on demand supply of the markets. So you're gonna oversupply things, they're gonna undersupply things, they're gonna move things in the wrong directions, they're going to invest in the wrong things because it's not powered by the market but the hand of the market, they're going to make a lot of mistakes. It's going to look very good when China exports more electric vehicles, more lithium batteries, more solar panels. In the short term, it's going to look really good, but it will never beat the progress that you could make when you are just basically listening to the market and responding to that, instead of some people at the higher ups deciding that, oh, tech is good, so let's go all tech. AI is good, so let's go all AI. This is not going to produce the same results as United States. So that's my response to what you were just saying. Frozen.
Okay, we have a long response list. Please, everyone, do your best because we still have other questions on the main list. So up first is Jeffrey.
I mean, so as far as like the reason we're onshoring again is because everybody can read the tea leaves and they know conflict is coming. That started with in response to the Chinese Communist Party pandemic, Wuhan COVID-19, at least that gave impetus to that. Even before that, I mean, so Armin touched on a couple of things that are key with regards to the Chinese Communist Party's previous strategy that's centered around leveraging competitive advantage of cheap labor. One of yours truly wrote more than a couple of reports on how to offset the advantages or the challenges that the Chinese Communist Party poses to U.S. competitiveness in science and technology. For SAIC and the CIA back in 2010, that was very much focused on strategic trade, onshoring, leveraging revolutionary technologies, specifically AI and next-gen automation to offset that. That also kind of got up into a policy paper for Rubio's office, and then underwrote Rubio in part Rubio's Made in China 2025 report. Some other things I'm not going to go into because it would take forever. So as far as like some of the challenges, so after like the Chinese Communist Party pandemic, Wuhan COVID-19, Gordon Chang, me, a lot of other guys were pushing for, how we need to de-link from being dependent upon China. Some of the challenges. $37 trillion have been invested in China since the beginning of the opening up of China, which actually wasn't like, it had nothing to do with free markets, had everything to do with the Chinese Communist Party trying to play a long game and spurring foreign direct investment to maximize technical diffusion from the core periphery regarding specific key technologies that are dual purpose in nature. Armin touched on a lot of it, which is friendshoring, at least in the region. Vietnam and India were looked at. A lot of other people are looking to get it here in the United States. Because that's such an issue, you're going to have public-private partnerships to do it. And in doing that, you'll be leveraging AI and next-gen automation, which means jobs don't come back, which is also why in that strategy, you also have to include a policy for upskilling, which is meaning you're retraining your workers to have skill sets that qualify them for higher levels of employment in current and supplanting K waves. In other words, you turn factory workers into computer scientists and engineers. I mean, I'm going to give some other people a chance to talk. I mean, that's just off the top of my head, a lot of the points that were made. Sorry.
Okay, next is Noah.
I'm here. Yeah, I think we definitely do need to decouple from China in terms of this, especially because COVID taught us, especially, we cannot get all of our things from like one place. We need to get it from multiple places or homegrown. So especially like, and I'm being quick on this, I really am, but like in terms of like rare earth minerals and all that, there was a video from Germany where they are actually recycling electronics, magnets and stuff, and remagnetizing them to make sure that they can, so they're less dependent on China. We need to do that here in the U.S. so we don't have to get all of our rare earth magnets from China. That would help us reduce the dependency. and also recycling our batteries, lithium ion, anything we do to try and like shorten that so we can reduce dependency. Also, if you can, final thing, buy your stuff from like India, Vietnam, anyone that's closer to the US. I would say more India, but yeah, yeah, I'll cut it there.
By the way, I've got a couple of super chats, but I'll respond to them after we go through the responses. Thank you guys for all the super chats.
Okay, next we have Jose.
I'll throw somebody else in front of me. Okay. Daniel, your point about China outsourcing their jobs. Well, as long as, like in Cuba, their generals, their red princelings, if you understand what I was talking about the other day about that, the people that are actually important in their culture have power. Z is one of them. Own those industries, fat chance. They're not going to give up control of them. Okay. What could cause China to outsource their industries, if what the other issue I brought up that they're coming up within the next 5 to 10 years, and that's the Three Gorges Dam, if that blows, and some of the models I've seen show it going all the way from where that dam is all the way to the sea, okay, it'll take out 95% of their industrial base. It's all in that valley area, those multiple valleys headed out that way. That will force them going overseas. And then finally, about jobs coming back to the United States. When I started Coca-Cola, there were 3,000 people doing accounting and financing, posting checks. We were doing it for half the United States, Coca-Cola, half the United States. At our center, there was another center in California doing the same thing. There's now less than 500 people doing that role because we outsourced everything to India. We learned real quickly that India's way of working doesn't necessarily work with ours. The way AI is going, we're not, my 500 is not afraid of losing jobs or having to be trained, because the people that are going to be losing jobs are going to be people in India as they are consolidating, and brought down to fewer and fewer and fewer. And I've seen that in the like in automotive industry. Yeah, they brought factories back. Okay, fine, because you don't need the people anymore because you have robots. You still need people to monitor, to look at, but when the robotics come in, you need less people. And Spain also did something, and this is my last point. Spain is, I'll say it tomorrow because it's hysterically funny and I don't want to disrupt the flow. I'll say it tomorrow.
Okay, next to respond to this, we have Shauna.
Can everybody hear me? Okay, I'm on my phone.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
a bit
perfect.
choppy.
I just want to point out too okay, thank you. Yeah, I just want to point out too, when we talk about manufacturing stuff, we're having very high level conversations about rare earth and minerals, about like chips and all these like robotics and all of these like AI, all of this high tech stuff. And we're talking about national security and all those things. Those are very important. I'm going to do the sketch job really quick and explain what Walmart Americans hear is. They want they want manufacturing to come back for Americans to make basic clothes and automobiles. That's what they think about. They think about stuff that they use. And so I don't know how to translate that to the public necessarily. It's something I'm thinking about a lot, but I do know that when they hear factory jobs, they think we should buy American, blah, blah, blah. However, that breaks down at about $10 as it's been tested by think tanks and stuff. Polls have been done. Americans don't want to pay more than $10. It started to go down as far as like clothing and basic supplies. So when we're having these conversations, we maybe need to be more clear with the public about what kind of manufacturing jobs we're bringing back, and also explain why getting clothes made in Vietnam is not bad and not hurting Americans, because what Americans do and what they say and what they hear, those are all nuanced. So that's my only point.
Okay, two things I need to say. First of all, my mod in Iran just came back on YouTube. Ali on YouTube is saying, after almost 76 days, finally I found a stable VPN. Oh my God, Ali, message me on Telegram if you can. And I hope you're safe. So one of my mods in Iran just came back. And not just my mod, one of my closest friends. So I hope he's okay. So he had no internet for 76 days, and this is the first place he comes once he gets internet. I will read the super chat soon once we go through the response list. And Ali, message me on Telegram. I just want to respond to something. Well, I'm not responding necessarily. I just got reminded of this. Guys, when it comes to the work job, like when it comes to certain industries and work coming back to the America, that is a lot of Americans wanting that to come back to America is because they think that will bring jobs back to America. Most of those jobs are not coming back to America. Okay. Many of these are just going to AI and robotics, and there will be new jobs. There will be new jobs in America because of this industrial revolution. And the jobs that were lost because of offshoring, the vast majority of them are not coming back. They're gone, right? Even if you bring those industries back onshore, yeah, you're not bringing those jobs back. Okay, so let's move. Let's go to the next response. And guys, I see all of your super chats. Thank you so much. This is very generous. Thank you. All right.
The final response.
I'd like to speak on onshoring, friendshoring, and tariffing. Nation states have plans. See, these plans are sometimes to the public known every 4 to 8 years, but in what they call the deep state or in the deep planning, these plans come very long term to fruition. We're seeing a lot of these jobs that got offshored are probably going to be friendshored to South America if we want to decouple. The amount of imports that we have from China has gone down by like 40% in the last couple of years, for around there. And we do have to recognize the power of the market, but we also have to recognize that there's bad actors that will try to leverage the market. So giving them tools that would allow them to become even more tyrannical is always a bad idea. I'd like to give an example. One of the things that we have as a resource is intelligence, right? Like I said, I'm not so afraid of China building GPUs that they're going to be able to do that because they don't have the technology to make the nanometers that we make, right? But if they get enough AI, they might develop the equipment. They don't have the brain power. They don't have, because the brain power is leaving. Like I said, like sand through their fingers, the intelligent people are leaving, but they might get machines smart enough to do what they want. So that's part of the what you call the AI race, is you don't want this power in the hands of people that would use it for evil, just because, like, even if you're an intelligent person, you would think twice about giving, no matter how much money they give you, you would think twice about giving a super weapon to an evil person, because you say, well, this person is unstable. I don't want to give them this resource of my brain. I'd rather just get out. And that happens a lot in China and places like China. But they are betting on copying, and they are betting on offsetting that through these kinds of tech. Like another good thing about onshoring and friendshoring, like right now, Cuba has 500,000 metric tons of cobalt, 5.5 million metric tons of nickel. It's very important. We have a lot of rare earth minerals in Venezuela, and that heavy, thick crude that we use for plastics and a lot of electronics, and a lot of for a lot of tech. Oil is also very necessary in tech. We have in Argentina, we have there's a lot of places where we could start developing that rare earth resource, start friendshoring that. Even Japan, started doing deep sea dredging to get decoupled from China and needing China for rare earth minerals. So sometimes we don't want to do this because the market punishes, because some nations don't care about the punishment. They'll throw that punishment down onto their people, like they do in Iran, like they do in Cuba. So that's why it's important to friendshore and onshore some of these technologies and some of these resources.
Okay. Are we should start moving towards the next or do we have more responses, because I do want to cover more topics today.
I have cut them as of about 15 minutes ago.
Okay.
Then
So
topic
before
we have.
before we go to next topic, we got a whole bunch of super chats that if it's okay, I will just quickly read them, right? Because we got a lot of support, so I'll do that fast. Okay, I already read that one. Thank you so much, Dominic. And we have Ida. Oh, just Ida saying thank you, Armin, and thanks to all in the group. Great job. Well, thank you so much, guys. People are watching you on YouTube and they're saying great job to you guys. And then we have, I know this person. Verses of Iran in English gave us a super chat. That's Sketch, guys. That's Sketch. Thank you for the super chat saying I tried to give you a voice. I only wish I could do more. Okay, so I think he's saying I wish I could do more. So guys, go check out Voices of Iran in English. It's a YouTube channel where it basically uses AI to translate Prince Reza Pahlavi and Murad Vaisi in their own voice into English. So check that out. Check that channel out. And then we have another super chat again from Voices of Iran in English saying, give me your beloved Persians and I'll try to translate. Yeah, guys, go check that channel and give him feedback on whether the translations are right. And is it Ida or Ida? I don't know if I'm reading it right. I think it's okay. I know it's our Ida, is it? It's saying Bepish and then US and Israel flags, love to the world, love to freedom. Thank you so much for that super chat. And then we have one more super chat saying, we have actually a couple of guys. I'm going to read them fast. Not everyone can learn trades. I worked in the oil field and you would be shocked how many people can learn to use a pipe wrench. Men who are good at welding simply can't learn to program computers. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But there's a lot of work that will be created that will be relevant, I'm assuming, and like I'm thinking. And there's also going to be with AI and robotics, like people that you're going to find new jobs that are going to be relevant to the jobs that people were doing before. Long term, short term, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be hurting, for sure. Yeah, short term, so many people are going to lose their job and they're not going to be able to find new jobs. Long term, I think we're going to have more job creation than job loss. But that's true. I understand what you're saying. Ida, another super chat saying, hello, Ali from Iran. Stay safe and stay strong. Thank you so much for that super chat. And Melissa saying, Bepish. And then I don't know how to. Van Dyke Veld is saying, should I vote Republican? I'm racist to AI. It has no emotion. I mean, sure. I mean, yeah. I don't know if that's racist or speciest. I don't know if that's. I don't think it's racist. It's speciest.
I think it's a joke.
I know. I'm taking it seriously is also part of the joke. Oh my god, you ruined it. Okay. All right. Thank you guys for all this super chats. And now let's go to the next topic. What's the next topic?
And he is talking about preparing for war again.
Preparing for war again. Okay, let me change the banner. Okay, go on, Noah.
Thank you. And real quick, Armin, I am so happy about your friend. I hope he is okay. But I'm just really happy to hear that. So I was looking real quickly. President Trump is going to be leaving on tomorrow. He departs in the afternoon, either Chinese time or U.S. time. So, with that being said, we know that the new name is Operation Sledgehammer. We think that war is imminent at this point. So, so one of the questions I have is, should we begin stockpiling on gasoline or petrol, as the rest of the world calls it, in our cars or gas petrol tanks? My opinion would be yes. One of the things I'm doing is stop joyriding. If you can, use more public transit. If you live in an area that has it. If not, it's going to be hard. Should we use more delivery systems, like in the US, Walmart, Kroger delivery, DoorDash, till gas, petrol goes down? Just want to hear your thoughts. And I just also wanted to give my opinion on this real quick, since it's 4:30, so US time. So thank you, Armin.
I mean, in the I don't think, maybe I'm wrong about this, but I don't think we're going to hit that much of a supply constraint when it comes to gas.
But people panic buy all the time when war starts again.
Hey,
so.
wait. Let me actually respond.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Just no need to say sorry. No need to say sorry. Okay. No, stop saying sorry. Don't need to say sorry all the time. Okay. What was I saying? I lost my train of thought. Yeah. Okay. So if other people are panic buying, like, we shouldn't copy them, right? I don't know if you guys agree with me or not, but I don't think that maybe like in other countries that would make sense. I don't think in the United States we're going to hit that level of a issue for people to be, I don't know, holding on to fuel in their home, like filling up gas. I mean, if you're trying to save money because oil prices might go up, and you think, like, if you buy some gas right now, then you're saving yourself against fuel prices going up. You could just trade oil in the market. That would be easier than holding gas at your home. You could just go online and make a account and just buy some oil futures, and that would be easier. And then you don't have to worry about the storage space. And that way, if oil prices go up, then you already have a hedge against that. And that would be a lot easier strategy to deal with that than actually filling. And I think that might be dangerous. I don't know. Like, wouldn't that be a safety hazard, holding fuel at your home? So yeah, instead of dealing with all of that hassle, just go online, make an account. And I mean, no, this is not investment advice, but I'm just saying, compared to holding fuel at your home, that to me seems like a better strategy. Somebody else is holding the oil somewhere for you, like the futures or whatever for you, and you don't have to deal with the store. I mean, if you want to buy it yourself, you have to try to figure out the costs associated with the risk to your home burning down, the costs associated with the storage area that you're holding the fuel. You could avoid all of that by just going online and trading some oil. Again, not financial advice. I'm just saying, relatively to that, that's what I would do. But when it comes to your main point with whether we're going back to, are we going back as the ceasefire collapsing? One thing I wanted to mention is that we just got a new report that adds to the chances of us going back to war very soon. And let me actually tell you, this is like a very, very recent report. Okay. So the U.S. Energy Secretary reported to lawmakers, this is, I think, yet today, that Iran is very, very close to constructing nuclear weapons. Specifically, they are estimated to be just weeks away from enriching 1 ton of uranium to weapons grade levels, 90% purity. And the reason why this is shocking, because a lot of people thought that the Islamic Republic right now is not at all doing any enrichment. And Operation Midnight Hammer thought no, because what they don't understand is that there are other enrichment facilities other than the targets that the United States covered on Operation Midnight Hammer, and the Islamic Republic is still enriching uranium all this time, because people assume that that was on a pause. Not only that's not on a pause, they're weeks away to get to, this new report suggests that they're weeks away to getting to 90% purity. So they have places where they're enriching uranium, and we're not talking 60%, we're talking 90%. And remember, the Operation Epic Fury and Roaring Lion, or whatever, like I don't remember exactly the name, Israeli name for it. They started because the report suggesting that the Islamic Republic was weeks away, and not weeks away, and now we're getting a new report that they're weeks away. To me, this suggests that Operation Sledgehammer is very likely to happen, and happen soon, right? So let me see. What do you guys think about that? This is a new information that we just got really recently. So this seems like the ceasefire was already on life support, but this basically kills it. And yeah, anybody else thinks the same? Roaring Lion is right. Okay, fantastic. Thank you. All right, who's on the list? Is anybody modding? Is BT here? Oh, BT's gone. Oh,
okay. Are we going to the next topic, or do you want to do responses?
No, we do responses first. Yeah. Thank you, Ali.
Okay. Let's see.
We need more mods.
Jeffrey.
Sorry.
Don't stop saying sorry. Oh my God. All right. Who's Jeffrey?
Jeffrey, please.
Yeah, it's pretty clear that Operation Sledgehammer is almost assuredly a go, and from all the indicators I see, it is going to be to finish off the regime. There's it's not going to be like a couple of love taps. They're done. As far as the thing that Noah brought up, I'm going to put this in the chat. So just so it kind of people don't have to do all the panic buying. It's kind of that, so the DHS has a emergency supply kit idea. This is things anybody should have, like 2 weeks of food, water, critical medicine, stuff. You don't have to bury a shipping container in your backyard, right? Just stuff that if there's any kind, and this isn't just for war. It's so let's say there's a power outage or whatever. Just so you don't I remember after COVID, people were killing each other over fucking toilet paper. That was super dumb, Anyway, as far as what you had said, it's pretty clear. The probability of us hitting and finishing the Mullah regime is very high. Right? Can't be trusted. As far as when they're enriching stuff, you're not wrong, Armin. It's true. Operation Midnight Hammer was the best ever, and it was. Right? It was. It denied the Mullah regime the traditional approaches towards realizing weapons-grade fissile material that they had invested in. Tragically, that wasn't the only avenue they could pursue. And it isn't just stuff inside Iran. They also have foreign assistance, do they not? Didn't we just find out that elements out of Pakistan house some of their fucking fighters? We have the Chi-Coms flooding in conventional weaponry. So all that to say, again, the Mullah regime has to go. So, it looks like Operation Sledgehammer is going to get them, it's going to go soon. And I hope they go with the maximum, package that me and others pushed up the chain, because that will make this very quickly.
Okay.
Thank you. Gila?
Gila?
Hi.
Is she here? Oh, there you go.
me a minute. First of all, I wanted to say that I noticed that when Trump met the Prime Minister of China, he didn't smile at all. Even though the anchor was like, he's smiling, he didn't smile at all this whole time. And the Chinese guy was like, ah! And Trump was like, but he had his poker face on for sure. And China told all the Chinese people and embassy to leave Iran. United States just asked the employer of the embassy to leave Israel. Just saying. I don't remember what was the timeline last time, but it looks like we're warming up.
Okay. Hopefully you're right.
Thank you. Next is Jose.
Okay. You forgot one location, Jeffrey, the Caspian. I was always wondering what was coming through there because we know that there was definitely traffic coming down that way. Okay. As far as Noah, your comment about, storing gas and all this stuff, I know the price appears to be high now, but I was around pumping gas when it was 75 cents a gallon and it went up to $2 a gallon. It hasn't gotten anywhere near that percentage of an increase, buddy. Not even in California. So chill. We also have things called hurricane kits that we use here in Florida. I have one that I haven't had to use in 2 years, so I just have to refresh the stuff in there. But one person, 3 gallons of water, 1 gallon of water per day, 3 days supply. Food, 3 days supply. And we're not talking food you can cook on power either. We're talking canned foods that you can pop and eat cold and you're fine. Okay? That kind of stuff. So I don't see the COVID panic over this. Okay? I don't see that kind of panic over this. I see more like, let's get this shit over with more than anything else. So chill, buddy. Chill. If you want, let me know and I'll put a list on the chat on the message board that we have here. Not the one for this meetup, but on the general one of what I would put in a list. And if you know any military terms, I also got a bug out bag just in case something gets nasty and I have to roll. But it's one of those things that just plan ahead and you'll be fine. Don't overthink it. You do not want to store even a gallon of gasoline in your garage unless your garage is absolutely secure and you don't have anything that can set it off. Okay? And that also means cats, by the way. Cats are a funny business. You know that if you don't have those in here in Florida, we've noticed that cats, if you don't have the tire plug on your tires, they'll come up on a hot day and they'll put a nail into that thing and you'll have a flat tire by next morning, but they're cool.
All right, thank you. Next is Sketch.
Sketch, guys, if you could keep it short because we're running out of time. But go on, Sketch.
What I was going to say about the 90%, I heard about some earthquakes. Maybe they're testing something. I seriously doubt it, but I don't know how close to how do you need 99? Do you need 90? How much do you need to test something, right? If we are taking that explosion to mean that they're testing something, maybe it was an earthquake, maybe it wasn't. It doesn't matter if they have 90% or not. What we're doing is laying out the case for going in. These are more points on a graph that draw a line to we're going in, right? Maybe there's 90. Did you know that Saddam Hussein had portable centrifuges? When we talked about going to get Saddam, it wasn't about bioweapons. That was revisionism. When we went in, and I remember what we were talking was, it was Colin Powell went out there and told us he has portable centrifuges. And he showed us some pictures of how he had trucks where he was enriching uranium on a truck. I don't know if that technology existed then. I don't know if it exists now. The point is, when they show us this stuff, there's a reason. And the reason usually is, we're going to go boom, boom.
We're going to go boom, boom. All right. Thank you for that. Before we go to the next topic, we did get a super chat that I'm going to quickly read, which I think is a good question. Roman Vikings 95 is saying, how can we accelerate reskilling so unemployment won't be so severe due to AI impact? How could school education keep up pace with the latest skill needs? In my opinion, school education cannot keep up pace with the latest skill needs. And the best way to, in my opinion, for us to keep up to reskill faster is to use AI. Is to use AI for education. Whatever your work is or whatever business you have, whatever you're doing, just quickly learn. Like, guys, you know what's your best friend? Shift Windows key. So these are the buttons: Shift Windows S. Okay, or whatever the version of that is on Apple. Screenshot things. So okay, here's what you do. Okay, you go open a Google Doc or whatever you take notes. Okay, and then you start writing down everything that you do for the work that you do every day. I'm not talking general, like every single step. Like, I open this, I log into this, then I do this, then I do this. You type that, all of that out. Okay, you give that to AI. You ask AI, how do I automate these? What is the most important one for my revenue generation capacity to automate first? Where is my bottleneck? Ask me questions so I could answer you. So you could tell me which one of them, changing which one of these will have the most highest impact in my revenue generation ability. You ask AI that, right? And then once you figure out which one is a priority, then you say, okay, how do I use AI and automation to increase my output in that one specific area that was my bottleneck, that if I change that, it will have the highest impact on my revenue. Then it will tell you that. Then you say, you give me a step-by-step guide. It gives you the step-by-step guide. Imagine you're using the software or whatever. You're in there, you don't know what the hell you're doing. You don't know how to use the software. Then you use the shortcut, Shift Windows key S. You take a screenshot, you give it to AI. You copy and paste it on AI. You're like, I don't know what I'm doing. Tell me what to do. Make it easy to understand. What do I click on? And then you follow the instructions. Then you get to the next barrier and you don't know what you do. You screenshot, give it to AI. Now I'm stuck. What do I do next? You keep doing that, and then AI will have then you use eventually we will have AI that could just watch your I mean, we already have that, but not good ones. You have AI that could just watch your screen, and so you don't have to do these screenshots all the time. And then you just listen to it, or like you talk to it, like, what do I do next? What do I do next? Okay, how do I do this? So you just talk to AI and make it guide you step by step, and just tell it how do you generate revenue, and basically make it tell you how to increase your revenue generation capacity, and then make it walk you through it step by step. That's what you do. That use AI. Okay, learn to use AI. Learn to get AI to guide you through this path. That's how you do it. Okay, so thank you for that super chat. All right, what's the next topic?
The next topic is Earth Mineral Advantage.
All right, let me put that. All right. Okay, let's go.
All right. The question is from Shauna, and I'm going to read it out. Does China have the upper hand on us with regards to rare earth minerals?
Yes. Well, we need to fix that. So the answer is yes. Okay. So China currently controls approximately 70% of global rare earth mineral production, and a staggering 90% of the processing. So, oh my God, that's actually worse than I thought. I thought it was the only 70%, but also 90% of the processing and magnet manufacturing. So we have, since early 2026, China has expanded its export licensing catalog to include advanced rare earth compounds. Yep. So, and then China has effectively banned the export of the technology used to extract and smelt these minerals. Also, guys, remember, they don't have like the environmental restrictions that you have in like more advanced countries, so they could do whatever they want. So that gives them an advantage. They aren't just keeping the minerals, they are keeping the know-how. And a new policy ensures that any product globally containing more than 0.1% Chinese origin rare earth requires Chinese license, giving Beijing a regulatory choke point over international factories. Holy crap, this is actually a lot worse than I thought. So we have but look at this. The US defensive pivot and the 2027 deadline. So what is this about? The US is racing against a ticking clock. The Pentagon has set a hard deadline for January 2027, and this is the deadline. All Chinese origin rare earth materials must be removed from the American defense supply chain. Wow. That is because this reliance on China is not really good for security purposes. This is too much leverage that China has over United States defense industry, right? So basically, we have a U.S. company called RE Alloys. I don't know if that's how you read it. Is currently leading the charge to secure domestic supplies of dysprosium. Is that how you read it? And terbium. I don't know if you pronounce this. Two heavy rare earth essentials for high heat magnets. I think I butchered those. Okay, the midstream push. The U.S. has realized that the bottleneck isn't the mine, it's the refinery. So the main bottleneck is the refinery. Companies like U.S. Rare Earth recently secured 1.5 billion in financing to scale up their Round Top project and have acquired Serra Verde, the only scaled producer of all four magnetic rare earths outside of Asia. And then we have a major push is underway to harvest rare earth magnets from recycled electronics. Oh, wow. Okay. Turning urban mines into a strategic reserve. So basically, urban mines means like it's the name that they're giving to discarded phones and laptops. That's what they're calling it, urban mines. That's the name they're giving it. And then lastly, we have global wildcards like Japan and Australia. Japan's deep sea breakthrough. So just this week, this is quite recent. Japan's research vessel Chikyu successfully recovered rare earth rich mud from the seafloor at a depth of 5,700 meters of what is this island? This is hard to pronounce. Mitoroshima Island. This could provide Japan with centuries of mineral independence. Holy crap. And then we also have Australia's high grade advantage. The empty weld deposit in Western Australia remains the gold standard for rare earth quality because the ore is so high grade, processing costs are lower, making it most viable competitor to Chinese prices. So that's the picture that we have right now. This is like really important for security and also the AI and robotic race. Missiles.
Yeah, it's a huge deal. That makes me feel like we don't really have a good bargaining relationship with China, though. That makes me feel like we really don't have any cards. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's how it feels. Anyway,
well, that's why okay. So we have the energy card. So they have rare earth minerals. United States has so much dominance over energy, and this is why China is desperately trying to do alternative sources of energy. But they're not going to be able to, that's not going to save them over America's advantage over how much control they have over the energy markets. What do you think to that? What do you say to that?
I hear your energy, but us having energy without having access to the things that we need to be able to build just means we're stockpiling gas which is also a thing that we also use, and we don't have any real. I just feel broke. I feel earth mineral broke.
Oh, that's so I've never heard that before. I feel earth mineral broke. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Anybody has a response
I feel like I have a really good savings account, but I can't touch it. And I don't have anything in my spending account, so I still feel broke. I feel like my 401k is really good, but I can't do anything.
I've never heard anyone describe it like that. That's amazing. Okay, wait. You know, okay, to make you feel better, the thing is that that's what China feels right now about energy. Okay, so having leverage over energy gives you leverage to some degree over rare earth minerals, because you could use your leverage on energy to talk to the Chinese. They wouldn't be able to shut that down on you, because then your response to them will be devastating to them, because then you will shut them out of the energy markets. So they wouldn't be able to close that off to you.
Yeah. Yeah, but the thing is,
Yeah.
like, we have
Satisfying.
we have friends with like people who have rare earth minerals, like Japan, but they're rare earth minerals. Like, you can't, like, listen, the kid with the best snacks doesn't trade them.
Well, hey, Japan, countries like Japan need United States for security against China, so you have leverage over that as well, right? They do.
Yeah,
They,
maybe.
they
I
have to
mean,
share. They have to share.
yeah. Yeah, I just want to like envelop. I just also want to just make Taiwan a 51st state. Like, just give it a little hug and be like, "You're part of us now."
All right.
Anyway, the end.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
All right. Responses. We have Jeffrey and Sketch.
So real quickly, again, all very, very like right on point. So during the Chinese Communist Party undermined the United States' efforts in the global war on terror, in part to distract us away from the Chinese Communist Party's 20-year effort to place itself to control, at the time, 80 to 90% of the rare earth elements that were identified. As far as like using domestic production, the United States has can realistically meet about 40% of our needs, particularly with regards to defense and magnets, within 5 to 8 years, and slash our dependency upon the Chinese Communist Party controlled areas. And that's in part by opening up the federal zones that idiot Biden's crazy Native American Secretary of the Interior blocked with all her cockamamie nonsense that she pushed during his tragic, his term. As far as the external sources, it's the reason why Armin actually mentioned one, Greenland is so important. The other is our Ukrainian allies. And finally is Biden, the fucking herpes that keeps on hurting. So one of the main issues why a lot of us told the previous administration do not recklessly disengage from Afghanistan is in 2011, the United States Geological Survey identified about 10 million tons of economically recoverable rare earth elements. And when we recklessly disengaged, the Chinese Communist Party and every other douchebag on the planet swooped in to try and control it. Just to put some like context on where everything's at.
Thank you. Next is Sketch.
Yes, rare earth minerals are not as rare as people think, right? It's a bit of a misnomer. It's just hard to process, and it's the development of the processing is done in China, because China, through Neville Singham and a whole bunch of environmentalists, went all over Europe and all over America to ensure that all that dirty processing happened in China. These people, these activists, these NGOs, they don't care about the environment. They're political tools so that we don't have the leverage we need to have this onshored. So what do? They protest, stop oil, stop now, stop everything now. What does that do? It takes it to a place where everything is dirtier. Because if we already had these refineries here, they would be a lot cleaner, and we would probably be managing to use the waste, because one of the things the Americans managed to do through ingenuity is end up using the waste of the material for different things. Now, what do we have in Guyana, Colombia, and Venezuela? We have tons. I mean, so many tons of rare earth in Bolivia, particularly in Cerro Manomo, in Argentina, in the Dominican Republic, in Cuba. We have a lot of nickel and cobalt in Cuba, in Greenland, in Chile. in Brazil. So we have a lot of places where we can friendshore and onshore this. Our bottleneck is not necessarily the rare earth minerals themselves. Like even like I said it before you said it, that they're dredging the deep sea to find it. It's not that it's rare; it's that it's rare for us to be able to process and find it because we have been letting China handle it all. So I wouldn't have such a bleak outlook. So this is my cheer up Shauna take. So we have the possibility of doing this. What's working against us is time because we building these refineries. It's not something that you could do overnight. It takes a couple of years. We're talking like, fastest, I don't know, 5-10 years before you can get these things up and running. And that's like if you're going to breakneck speed because wars and stuff. But it can be done. So, I would like Armin says, a market finds a way. These people are very interested. Argentina has some stuff going too with processing with refineries. I would be very doubtful of anybody that's trying to blackpill you on our ability to onshore and friendshore these resources.
Very well said. Very well said. Okay. Can we do the next ones really quickly because we're out of time, and I wanted to get to the last two topics as fast as possible as well.
Like you mean responses or the topics?
Oh, the topics. But do we have
The
more
topics. Okay.
Yeah,
We do have more responses, but I cut it off at 2.
Okay, let's just do that. Okay, let's just go to the next topic, guys. Then, okay, because yeah. All right. So, what's the next topic? Because we're already out of time.
UK elections.
Oh wait, hold on. UK elections. Hold on 1 second, sorry. Okay. Is Nail Bunny here? Yes, Nail Bunny's here. Okay, great. Whose topic was that?
It's BT's topic. And I'm going to read the question.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
The Reform Party gained over 1,400 municipal council seats. Labour lost between 1,000 and 1850 and lost control of 31 to 38 councils. Wanted Armin's opinion on the UK and the US and if we will take a similar path forward and stay conservative in the US. Since the world went left together, will we stay right or is the UK finally just catching up to the US?
Okay, so a lot of the shifts towards left or right in elections and globally is response to 3 things. 1 is the economy, 2 is migration, and 3rd is the disappointment with whoever was in charge before, right? So many people just punish the government for whether it's right, they shift left, or if it's left, they shift right because they're unhappy with the situation. And many times you see that pendulum shifting to the other side just because they want to punish whoever is in charge at the moment, right? But also we have influence of the economy and migration. So in Europe, like we're seeing that first thing right now, having like in UK, we're seeing that the migration being the most influential right now, and that's why we're seeing reform getting so many votes, in my opinion. But I don't know if that applies to the US. The US, I think the frustration with inflation and economic is the number one thing on everyone's mind. And I think that because whoever's in charge will lose seats and power in whatever elections that are underway, no matter who it is. If the Democrats were in charge, we will go to Republican a little bit, and if the Republicans are in charge, we will go to Democrats a little bit because people are not satisfied with the economic situation in the United States, which is actually the economic situation in the United States is actually quite good, but because people actually care, it's interesting because people see inflation more than they see employment rates, right? Like when people are employed, they give the credit to themselves and not the government. But when people see high inflation, they blame the government, right? And if, like, even if it's not the government, even if it's like war somewhere else, or if it's like, I don't know, some plague or whatever, they always like blame the government. Even if it's a global inflation, they're like, no, our government specifically is responsible, right? So I think because of inflation in the United States, a lot of Americans are feeling like the economy is bad, even though the economy is not really that bad right now in the United States. It's actually pretty good. But because it feels bad, they want to punish the government. So that's why in the United States right now, I think in the midterms, we're going to see a move towards the left. And yes, Neil Bunny, can you comment on the UK elections? Because I was actually wanting your input because on this, if you can. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. So do you want me to just sort of quickly recap what I went over a few days ago?
Sure. And also in response to what BT said regarding how that is related to what we might see in the US.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that the UK in some ways is sort of like a little microcosm of the United States because we are very similar societies. Our economy isn't good here, and labor are, you know, their plan seems to be tax the hell out of everybody who actually works, to pay for people who do not. And it's fine to have a social safety net for people who are unemployed and things like that, but where you have, people that are just on benefits forever, their entire lives, or they're migrants and they're on benefits, and we're basically paying them to sit around and, I don't know, rape people. So the economy is terrible here, really. But yeah, and I do think that is something that Fed reform. And as I went through my presentation a few days ago, I do think a load of, I won't go through the numbers again, but, it was a very large amount that went from labor directly to reform, which is crazy when you think about it, to be honest. They're diametrically opposed, but they did it anyway. So I do think that people will look at that. They'll see this election and they'll be watching it and seeing what's sort of happening here and think, okay, that it's almost like it's a tipping point. I do think that people are watching what's happening here. And it's changed a little bit more now because I did mention that there was going to be a leadership challenge probably, and now there is. Several people have resigned from the cabinet, from the government, which means, and now there's going to be a leadership challenge. And the question will be, will Keir Starmer get revenge by calling a general election, or will he let them scapegoat him? Because they are scapegoating him. It's not as if everybody just really doesn't like Keir Starmer. No, we hate labor. We hate the government. We hate everybody in the government. Everyone. It's not like, oh, goody, we'll have Andy Burnham or something and everything will be fine. No, we hate all of them. And that's what the joke is, that these people are fighting over who gets to be in charge or whatever. It's like, no. We hate all of you. All of you. It's not just Keir Starmer. Get over yourselves. They should be calling a general election, and they should have taken the hint by the fact that everybody just, and then they'll put, if they actually do have this leadership challenge and they put in somebody else, then, it's just going to be a matter of time before we come up with a reason to hate them too. It's just, they should just give up. In my opinion, they should just give up. They should call a general election. And my point before was that Labor did not win, Tories lost. Very big difference between those two.
I mean, Neil Bunny, I'm so glad that you're here for all things UK related. It's really good to have you here for that. Thank you.
Thanks. And I support Operation Let Armin Eat. So.
Oh, I do want. Oh, thank you. I do want to hear from Guido because he had a very interesting topic. So if you don't mind, we'll go to that, and then I'll go eat. And then after that, I have a stream with Ali. But let me actually change it to that really quickly because I want to hear this. Okay. Guy.
Guy's topic is alternative to arming Iranians.
Okay. Thank you, Ali.
There is no alternative to arming Iranians. First of all, do you think that you're for the arming solution because you're biased because arming is literally your name? Second of all,
because what? Sorry, I didn't hear that. Because arming what? Oh, it's my.
It's literally your name.
Okay. Yeah. That's the only reason why I'm doing this, by the way.
Yeah, it sounds the same. Conveniently, just so happens to be your name, and you're for it.
Yes.
But the alternative that I saw, Saida, is it Qasaminejad? Is that how you say his name?
Qasim. Yep.
What he was advocating for, and what I've been talking about originally, like my understanding of the situation before the recent pivot to arming them, was that let's say you have a few thousand defectors from Artesh and IRGC, so you already have some weapons, and would that not, in conjunction with sky support from drones, would that not arguably be enough without needing to take the time to arm people and, with the malnutrition and so on, everything that's going on?
Yeah, that would be the most that would be the most ideal if we have a coup by the Artesh against the IRGC. If we have the Artesh, a major part of the Artesh, come and says joins the revolution, joins the Iranian people, and fights against the regime. Obviously, that is the most ideal scenario. That's what we have been hoping for and working on. That's what Prince Reza Pahlavi has been working on for so many years. But yeah, so yeah, if that happens, that would be the best solution. But like, okay, but can we just say, like, sit back and say, like, well, we'll just hope that happens? Well, what if it doesn't?
No, but
yeah,
but based on the fact that Qasaminejad is arguing for that, that would, to me, lend credence to the theory that they already have those. Like, the only person who knows how many people defected is Pahlavi, and the people around it. And so, if Pahlavi's camp are making or trying to advocate for this solution, then it sounds to me like they think they have enough numbers.
What did they say exactly that makes you think that?
I actually wanted to do this 2 days ago. Let's see if I can find.
Because well, let me tell you what Prince Reza Pahlavi himself said in response to Politico when they asked him if he has enough numbers. He specifically said that these people are not going to be entering. They're not going to get involved until they can already see that there's close to a guarantee that the Islamic Republic is falling, right? That's what Prince Reza Pahlavi said with these people that they have when Politico asked him about it, right? So that means that whatever people they have within the regime, they're going to basically enter the game at the final stage when things are already falling. They're going to come in and secure the environment, right? So we need people to be fighting during the revolution. We need people to is collapsing. I mean, I appreciate that we have some people that maybe we could rely on, that once the regime is collapsing, they could secure everything and make sure not everything is going to shit. But we need people fighting as well to get us to that point as well with weapons.
So, right, okay, I see what you're saying. Do you want me to read the tweet? I found it.
Okay, go ahead, read it.
It wasn't like as clear cut as I remembered. So, arming the Iranian people is a sound idea. It requires time, planning, and infrastructure. In the meantime, when protesters are in the streets, deploying 5200 MQ-9 Reaper and MQ-1C Grey Eagles over Iran's 10 largest cities for persistent loitering, surveillance, and precision targeting of repression forces on the ground would be a game changer and could accelerate the regime's collapse. If Washington decides...
Isn't that Israeli drones?
It's American drones, I think.
American drones. Okay, so he's asking for drones.
Yeah. If Washington decides,
So he wasn't talking about the Artesh. He was talking about drone support for the Iranian people.
yes, but to me that would sound as though, because you do already have. I've heard elsewhere the people assessing that you have at least some people with arms that have defected, presumably.
Yeah, but not enough. Not enough. Not enough to do a
maybe.
revolution. Not enough to do a
Yeah.
revolution.
Why not to do a revolution on their own?
Huh?
Not enough to do a revolution on their own. I'm saying in conjunction with drones. I think maybe like if they see that it works with drones and the momentum is on the people's side, then they would join.
So here's what I say to the Qasem, Saeed Qasemi Nejad post. Okay, we need both. Why not both? Okay, why not both? Because he himself starts with saying this is a good idea, but we also need this. Okay, but I mean, I'm not against those drones supporting Iranian people. I think that's amazing. But here's what annoys me. Here's what annoys me. Okay, the Iranian people are not part of the discussion. You know, with everybody else that is part of the discussion, they're part of the discussion for a good reason, because they have weapons. Okay, when we're talking about defeating the Islamic Republic, we're talking about Americans, we're talking about Israelis, we're talking about, I don't know, UAE, Saudi Arabia. They're getting involved, not getting involved, but we don't talk about the Iranian people. It's easy to ignore the Iranian people because the Iranian people do not have enough agency because they're not armed. Okay, you give people agency by arming them. That's how you make them important. That's how you make them part of the conversation, because now they have leverage, right? So sure, like would I appreciate some drone support by Americans and Israelis and an uprising by the Iranian people? Of course I will appreciate that. Who would say no to that? Okay, but I am tired of only relying on other forces. The Iranian people need to become, I mean, they already are a force of themselves, but politically, not militarily. The Iranian people need to become a force of themselves militarily.
Okay, people want to respond, so we can continue this.
Okay, guys, respond as fast as you can if possible, because I don't know if I'm going to be able to eat because we're already 17 minutes past. So, okay, Jeffrey and Sketch, please.
So yeah, real quick, because I want to get you out so you can eat. As far as arming the Iranian citizens, assessed if the Iranian Americans and Canadians of Iranian descent that are working give 100 hours a week for 23 weeks. You can build the 12 fighting facilities and train all of the people you need to train to support activities with non and lesser kinetic activities. Give it for 82 weeks, and then you can train 20,000 U.S. and Canadians of Iranian descent up to the level beyond an airborne ranger with additional counterinsurgency training, and create 158 and arm them and deliver them into 158 companies of 128 men, broken down to 8-man hunter-killer teams to hunt and slaughter our IRGC and besiege execution elements, and by doing so, crush the steel fist, the last steel fist that the Mullah regime has to oppress the Iranian people.
Sketch?
Look, whether let's say all of the Artesh joins, let's say 420,000 Artesh are on the side of the people and they are anti-RRGC, and everything goes picture perfect. You still want these people armed because it's, we want to get to a Second Amendment. We want to have a culture that makes every surrounding country think it's not worth it.
All right.
And
I agree
before you
with
go,
that.
Armin, Ian made an educational video game on the Iranian Revolution. You want to say like 2 sentences about it?
Okay.
Yeah. I just have a prototype, and I'm looking for people to check it out, give me feedback, potentially collaborate. Particularly need help with Farsi language stuff. It's at freeiran.games plural. So freeiran.games plural, and there's a contact link on the site with my emails. See you in freeiran@gmail.com. So I love it. People could check it out. I'm just trying to build, make it better and build up. I'm not ready to put it on blast yet because it's not good enough yet. So thank you very much.
All right, guys. I'm gonna stop the recording on the group. And by the way, guys, for people on YouTube, the way that this works is that when I leave, the conversation in the in our group continues without me. For like, I'm not gonna close the conversation. It just becomes more organic. People just speak without turns and without time limits after I leave. Okay, so I'm gonna go now and I'm gonna end the stream. So yeah, guys, I'm Israel Chai.
Hey,
Long live
Armin,
America.
Armin,
Yes,
say Ida.
Ida. Okay, Ida, not Ida. Okay, Ida. Okay.
You
All
can
right,
you
guys.
can go either way. Love you.
Okay,
Thank
okay.
you.
Thank you.
Javicha.
Javicha. I'm Israel Chai. Okay, I'm Israel Chai. Long live America. Javicha. Payande Iran. See you guys same
Yeah.
time tomorrow.
So guys, I have